An authority, a connoisseur, a specialist, a professional, a knowledge king, a rock and roll sports talker. Coons Ford of Security Boulevard is proud to present the Sports Maven with Bruce Posner, a no-holds-barred look at the sports world. Now, here's Bruce Posner, the Sports Maven.
A cold Saturday morning after a couple spring-like days in Bmore, and we're in the Coons Ford Radio studio here at Intercom CBS Sports Radio. And Danny, you know when it was named the Coons Ford studio?
When you decided it was named
this morning, yes, just about 8 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I always often wonder why I don't do that, you know? But he's certainly been, Coons Ford's been great to me, and
yeah, we're actually doing this show from the back seat of a Ford F-350 right now.
You got it, pal. Sounds like that's a dream car for you. All right. All right. Big day for National Football League playoffs. We're going to open up, though, with some, believe it or not, some Oriole talk, because I can't talk much about Maryland basketball right now. I will later, but things are not great right now.
Things are not great in the warehouse either right now.
Yeah, well, you're right about that, too. But they still got some money because they doled it out yesterday. Manny Machado, $16 million. Now, that sounded great until Josh Donaldson got $23 million for the same one-year deal. But look, Manny did not have great numbers last year. I mean, let's be real about that. 33 homers and 95 RBIs is good, but I think the dude was hitting around 200 for most of the season before he exploded.
And when it comes to arbitration negotiations, believe it or not, the superlatives and the hardware and winning an MVP trophy like Josh Donaldson has, that makes a huge difference in bargaining and when it comes to the actual arbitration process. So before they actually went to the arbitration hearings, they settled, and obviously they felt that Josh Donaldson's track record earned him about $7 million more than Manny. But Manny has a lot of incentives in his deal. It looks like there hasn't been any details released on those incentives, but they look pretty easily attainable from reports. And so if we see a standard Manny season, he should be earning more than $20 million this year.
You know what's funny? Let's look at Manny for a second. And you would think, is there ever going to be a player who's going to say he's beloved in Baltimore and, you know, all the rest of the stuff, and say he's going to give us a deal and say $250 million for 10 years? Do you think that will ever happen? I don't. I think those days have gone. It's all about the cash.
Well, yeah, and I feel like you can't even blame Manny for thinking that way. I mean, like
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, like he's been a top five. There's no doubt he's a top 5 infielder in baseball for the last 5 years, and it looks like he is in line to become the highest paid infielder in all of baseball, whether it's he's going into the market as a shortstop or a third baseman.
Ever.
He is going to blow up that market, and he's going to earn more money for every single for Carlos Correa, for Nolan Arenado, for Corey Seager, for Francisco Lindor. This whole generation of infielders on the left side of the infield coming up behind him are going to be rooting for Manny all the way, and Manny's agent comes from the Scott Boras tree. And I don't see why anyone would even put that into their heads, hold out hope that maybe he would get anything.
It's a dream. It's not going to happen. It's over. Everybody's in it for the money. Everybody. I'm talking about, goes back to Mussina when he was saying, well, you know, I'll give Baltimore a break. The day the Yankees came calling and offered $1 more, he was gone to even think about it. It's about the money with all these guys. And I don't know that it would be different if it was me or my son. But, folks, I have to say, you know, it's almost worth a gamble to push your kid into baseball. No, you're not going to get the money from lacrosse. I will admit that.
Well, have you seen the video of the minor leaguers' 22-month-old kid hitting the ball in the batting cages? There's a video going around virally right now.
That's
on Facebook.
unbelievable.
Oh my God, how about that? No, but I mean, it's true. I mean, you can't expect professional athletes right now to be given hometown discounts, especially when you're the type of athlete who's at the top of the market in the league. It's just it's hard to turn that down.
I was just fantasizing from when Brooks Robinson was given a blank check.
Yeah,
for those of you
fantasizing about the reserve clause.
For those of you who don't know who Brooks Robinson is, and I guess we're getting to that point. Some of you don't.
About that.
Some of you don't. All right. Some of you don't.
Yesterday was the 35-year anniversary of him getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. January 12th, 1983 was when he was announced to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Listen, I was talking to a couple pretty knowledgeable kids about basketball and passing. We were talking about Jalen Young from Oklahoma, and passes that I've seen from him remind me of Bob Cousy. All right, now the first thing that they said to me was,
Lonzo Ball.
Who is Bob Cousy?
Oh, well.
Danny, you work for a living. You do this for a living.
Yes.
So, well, semi-living.
I know who Bob Cousy is.
Yeah, but a lot of kids don't. And Bob Cousy was probably the greatest passer of all time, or certainly the most prolific passer of all time. As far as behind the back, he created it all, and dribbler and everything else. And boy, did West Virginia beat up Jalen Young last week. Holy cow. They just beat him to a pulp. He still scored 29. But I want to tell you something. He complained the entire game. I'm telling you, he complained the entire game.
He's ready to be a star in the NBA.
When they go back to Oklahoma, West Virginia, keep an eye on that line, because Oklahoma, that will be one of their biggest games in basketball games in a decade. That return match, because that game was bloody. It was absolutely bloody. And Trae Young, I'm sorry. Trae Young, he's phenomenal. That's all I can say. He's beyond belief.
And so is the Ohio State player who gave,
Diop?
Yep.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Big guy hitting 6 for 8 from the three-point line. And you know what? Why does every team find their three-point range when they play Maryland? I haven't figured it out. I mean, they don't miss it all. Ohio State went on that run. Why Turge didn't call a timeout, I don't know. 22-2 run. But they were hitting threes. This guy, Dakich, he never had more than 2 threes. He had 3 threes in like a minute and a half, and they were contested. I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those years. But let's get back to the Orioles. Britton, $12 million. It's insane. He's not going to pitch till June. He probably won't be in full form probably the whole year, maybe in August when the Orioles are hopelessly out of it.
So is it insane to you that he is do you think that his earnings potential should have taken a big hit when he got injured this offseason? Because that is the whole point.
There's rules about that.
There's a collectively bargained
thing. There's rules about that.
Where he was offered a contract. The way it works is you are tendered a contract at no number. There is no number. You're just offered a contract. Would you like to come back to us? And because he's still under contract, it's basically a yes, or you don't get paid at all. And he accepted that, and they accepted to go into the arbitration process. For better or worse, the arbitration process judges nothing else but previous performance.
Except if you are injured. All right, I just read it today. If you are injured before the negotiations start, you can't be chopped.
Right.
All right. In other words, if you're a player and you're injured,
right,
you can't be cut in half because of an injury.
Right. And there was a deadline a couple months ago, I believe it was before the winter meetings, where they could
in December, and they could have chopped him.
Right, but he wasn't injured at that point. So and that's why they chose not to, because he at that point, when they were tendering contracts to be renewed, he still had an Achilles that was in one piece. And that's the frustrating thing, Bruce, is because we can go back to the point where he should be someone else's problem right now. And we just got to hope that he comes back as soon as possible and ends up having some sort of trade value before the end of June.
Well, let's hope he comes back and the Orioles are doing well and he does great. I'd rather see that happen. Caleb Joseph, that's the steal on the team, because he had a decent year last year. Could he be the projected starting catcher?
He could. And
I wouldn't be upset about that.
No, it looks all signs, and the organization...
$1.4 million.
The organization's been floating out there all offseason that you should not be surprised and you shouldn't be discouraged if Chance Sisco does not break the year with the starting team, because they want him to become the everyday starting catcher. And they have another very capable catcher in the minor leagues named Austin Wynns, who they think could be a very capable backup to Caleb Joseph, who was a very capable backup last year, and he hasn't had the best track record as a starting catcher, Caleb, but when he's had different runs where he's been 100% capable as an offensive catcher, and he's a very, very reliable defensive catcher. So I would not be surprised if you don't see Caleb Joseph starting opening day at catcher.
Scope, it's not done yet, but it looks like he definitely will be back, probably around $7 to $8 million when the final number is set. Gausman the same way, somewhere around $6.2 million. And I'm just in the wrong profession because these numbers are insane. They boggle the mind. You spit out millions like it's water. Like Caleb Joseph, the bottom of the barrel, $1.4 million. These guys, that's why you can never feel sorry for these guys.
Well, absolutely. But it's also, there's a reason why they're getting paid that much. I mean, when baseball's revenues is as high as they are, I mean, that's the thing that always frustrates me when it comes to callers on radio stations talking about these greedy athletes or whatever. And it's true. I mean, when you earn that much money, a lot of your benefit of the doubt goes out the window. But at the same time, you can't not pay these people. There's a reason there is revenue sharing. There's a reason why there is basically as close to as possible to a 50-50 split between owners' revenues and players' revenues. They have to pay these players. So that's what the market is. The market has been established that these players are worth this much. It may not seem like anybody is ever worth that much money for any job, but the fact of the matter is the market has dictated how much these players are going to make. And until the bubble bursts, and it doesn't look like it's happening anytime too soon, I mean, listen, we're going to see Manny Machado earn at least $350 million over the life of his next contract.
There's no doubt.
And it's going to only get higher.
Here's the thing, though. The Hot Stove League has turned into the Ice-Cold Refrigerator League.
Sure has.
Nobody is being signed. Nobody. But there's going to be a rush at some point. Maybe, I think so. But it seems like with the salary cap penalty, when you go over it, there's some teams that are backing off of additional money, one of whom is not New York and one of whom is not Boston.
It's going to be very tough, I think, for players like JD Martinez and other top guys on this market because they're going to see that while they will get their money and they will get significant deals, they don't see the bidding war going on that they thought there would. Now, they are hoping that once, a real offer is on the table from some of these teams, the bidding war will start going. But something tells me that this is going to be more like an outlet sale kind of free agency as opposed to the fire sale. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit disappointing for some of these players who are on the market still.
That might play into Duquette's hands.
Well, listen, that's what he's always hoping for. He's always hoping for someone to drop to him. But it's very frustrating when a guy like Miguel Gonzalez, who is not even probably what they want in terms of like what they would love is a stopgap at some point in that rotation. But the fact of the matter is they have no one. And Miguel Gonzalez just signed for barely $3 million to the Chicago White Sox, and the Orioles did not even make an offer. And the fact of the matter is you're not going to have an easy time finding major league quality starters at less than $5 million because of any other.
Is Miguel Gonzalez a quality starter?
He had less than a 4.2 ERA in his career with the White Sox, and he was a deadline deal last year to the Rangers. The Rangers thought their team would be better off with him in their rotation. Whether that's the case or not, the fact of the matter is, again, Bruce, you're not going to be able to find starters that other team wants to get here in Baltimore. If as soon as that player is attached to any of these other competitive teams, he is going there. I mean, people were talking here in September like, oh, let's get ready for the offseason. Who should the Orioles go after? Oh, Alex Cobb. He's not a great starter. You wouldn't even say he was a really good starter, but he's a very solid starter, and he's been pitching the American League East. That would be a great guy to go after, not break the bank for him. You know what? The Cubs are going to break the bank for Alex Cobb because the Cubs want him. As soon as these other teams become interested in these players.
It takes one team. That's all it takes is one team.
Yeah.
One team that can spend the money. All right. Enough baseball for the time being. It's too cold out to get into baseball right now for me.
Hot.
The Cavs. What is going on with the Cavs? There's real problems there. And if you remember, Danny, I really saw it coming. When you thought that you were going to bring Dwayne Wade in and Derrick Rose, two guys on the south end of their career, and that this team was going to be good, you are not thinking straight. Now, Isaiah Thomas also has been very frustrated. He's not playing well as he comes off. But Tyrone Lue, the coach, whose probably neck is on the line because it sure doesn't seem like he's coaching. In the huddles, who talks?
It's LeBron.
It's strictly LeBron, it seems like. It says we have to get rid of our agendas. Agendas usually means,
egos.
egos, and Isaiah Thomas has to score 30 points a game, and all that kind of stuff, and Kyle Korver's got to get his 10 threes. And
it means that LeBron can't do everything.
No, he's not. But they're losing. Let me tell you something. That no NBA team has ever lost a regular season game by 30 points and won the championship. How's that for a stat?
That is quite the stat. And I'm not sure how much I put weight into that. And I believe it's a valid stat, but I'm not sure what that really means. Listen, for every year...
Back-to-back blowouts to me means a lot.
Well, this
with
is the
LeBron
key stat.
playing.
This is the key stat. And it's not Dwayne Wade and it's not Derrick Rose. Those are the least of their problems. The main issue is that the Cleveland Cavaliers are 29th in the NBA. Do you know how many teams there are in the NBA?
30, yeah. Okay.
The only team that is worse than them is the Sacramento Kings. When you're in any category...
Wait a minute, in reference to what?
Defense.
Oh, defense, okay. Yeah.
So, you're not going to... Even if you rally together, because the fact of the matter is, and I need to stop saying the fact of the matter, but the Cavs, every single January that LeBron's been back, they have struggled. David Black got fired 2 years ago, right around this time. I think that it's basically going to come down to the fact that they can have a competitive enough defense to make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they're going to go up against the Celtics, and they're going to have a very rough time, and they'll probably still win that because when you have Dwayne Wade, old man Dwayne Wade, running on adrenaline, knowing that this is probably his last good run, and LeBron James is still LeBron James, and you have Jeff Green and Jay Crowder and all these guys who are not playing well now. J.R. Smith, they could all start landing shots, but the fact of the matter
Mark
is...
my words. What's today's date?
January 13th.
They're done. All right? The Cavs are done this year. I'm telling you, they're done this year.
So you're saying they're done, but they...
No, they're not finished. They're not a bad team, but I would be shocked if the Wizards rose up and put a scare into them. I'm serious.
How?
What do you mean? With Beal and Wall? You could beat anybody.
I really disagree. I really do. Because
you're entitled to.
And that's why this is great radio, Bruce. But the other thing is with the Cavs, you are going to see them beat very good teams between now and the end of the year. You're going to see them be competitive. You're going to see them go on another 13 game.
Have you watched them lately?
Yes, and they
blew a 22-point lead yesterday to Indiana and lost 97-95. A 22-point lead.
They've done this before.
With LeBron I know they've had bad Januaries before, but they don't have Kyrie, and Kyrie is a big difference. Look at the Celtics. Look how they're playing. Isaiah Thomas. Let me tell you, Isaiah Thomas, to me, was phenomenal. He was good enough to beat the Wizards last year, but Isaiah Thomas and LeBron, it's like trying to mix chicken and steak. It's not going to be a good meal unless you're
a week and a half.
Unless you're at Nichibai Kai or something, whatever it's called.
It's a week and a half. I feel like they are going to at some point come together. You're right. I think that they have some serious problems if they think that they're going to go against the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, that's not even a discussion. They're not even in the league of the Golden State Warriors.
And that's true. But at the same time, they have as good of a chance of playing them in the finals as any other teams. Still. And I don't care if they blow 25-point leads in January. I don't. Because they have before. And they will, before April, go on another 8 to 12 game winning streak.
Too many minutes for LeBron. He's 33 years old. He's still great. Don't get me wrong. He might be having his best year ever. But when you start approaching 100 games and with that kind of reliance on him, I think it's going to wear down. I think without question, the Celtics will take them down this year. I have very, very little doubt. And had they had Gordon Hayward, it wouldn't even be a question. It wouldn't even be in the realm of possibility. The Celtics would be the best team.
I love the Celtics, and I don't find a way to be able to talk that definitively when we're considering LeBron James, who has, while going through
He's the greatest of all time. I'm not knocking LeBron James, but he's surrounded by a bunch of old guys who aren't good.
But they're always great in April and May. And that's all that matters because they're going to make the playoffs, even if it's a 3 or 4.
They've already got it made now.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not even a question.
And they are going to advance. Do you really think that LeBron and the Cavs are at risk of being bounced in the first or second round?
It could happen.
it could happen. Anything can happen in the NBA, and
It
that's
could
why it's
happen.
great this year.
It could happen in the second round, not the first round. All right, with that, we'll head out to our first break. This is Bruce Posner, and a combative. All right,
I love you, Bruce.
He's very combative, Danny, today. And I have to tell you, it's all because Chelsea has no shot against Manchester City. The year is almost like a joke.
It is.
All right, Manchester City.
It's like the Warriors.
In the Premier League. And hey, you notice the talk about Tottenham in the NFL is starting to blossom.
Yeah.
All right. Tottenham wants a team in the worst way. I didn't know they signed a 10-year deal with the NFL.
Yeah. Their new stadium is where the team would be if they ever
the first team.
Yes.
Without question.
Yes.
Wembley's too big.
Yeah.
Wembley's too big. All right, with that, we'll head to our first break. This is Bruce Posner, back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio, where we'll look at today's NFL games. There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car from than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Over the years, I have purchased many cars and trucks for GM Dennis Colatzos, receiving the best price, service, and comfort in dealing with a top-notch executive. Coons Ford Turf Talk listeners can view their inventory at CoonsFordBaltimore.com. Coons Ford carries a huge inventory of Motor Trend's Car of the Year, the Fusion, Hybrid Escapes, the 35-mile-per-gallon Focus, Mustangs, Expeditions, and of course the F-Series trucks. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. What a great place to buy your new Ford. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Take exit 17 off of 695. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On kellyexchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, kellyexchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit kellyexchange.com today. In selecting a professional, you always look to the backgrounds of the persons involved, particularly involving their experience, competence, and established performance. In Maryland, there's one number one leader with regard to personal injury claims, and that's the firm of Science & Kirk. Science & Kirk have handled more auto accident cases than any law firm in the history of the state. The Science family is on their third generation of attorneys that extend all the way back to the 1920s. Donald and his three sons make a formidable team representing their clients. Call their hotline 24/7 at 1-800-LAWYERS for assistance. That's 1-800-LAWYERS for assistance from Science & Kirk. At Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, the professionals provide the highest quality care to the patients. My friends over at Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center are fellowship-trained, board-certified neurosurgeons and interventional pain specialists that specialize in treating all spinal and intracranial disorders with more than 20 years of combined experience. The practice is founded by Dr. Ira Goranczyk and his partner is Jim Conway. These two doctors are perennial Baltimore's top doctors. Not only do they perform complex inpatient procedures, but they also specialize in minimally invasive outpatient surgeries. If you're having problems with your neck or back, call my good friends Dr. Ira Goranczyk and Dr. James Conway at Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, 410-664-3680. Once again, that's Baltimore's best neurosurgeons at 410-664-3680. Baltimore, listen up. If you want crabs, you have to head to the Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard. There is no comparison in all of Maryland for the greatest crabs and crab cakes ever. Costas also serves unbelievable steamed shrimp, Greek salads, and steaks for lunch and dinner. Nick, Pete, and Costas Triantopoulos run the perfect restaurant to go with family and friends. Give Costas in a call at 410-477-1975 and tell them the Terp Talk guy sent you. The third Bagby's has just opened in the new Foundry Row in Owings Mills. Signature super Bagby's pizzas, salads, sandwiches, pastas, and yes, even submarines. Hey, did I forget meatball subs? Bagby's Foundry Row is similar to the original Bagby's in Harbor East. Also featured next door is the Bagby Group-operated Foundry Row Wine and Spirits. 2 more winners for the Bagby's chain. Call 410-356-7226. That's Bagby's on Reisterstown Road in Owings Mills. Bruce Posner here with a message brought to you by Chesapeake Urology. Guys, if you broke your right arm, would you just say, heck, I'll live with it, and make do with the left? Of course not. So why is it so many men with erectile dysfunction throw up their hands, assume it's just a part of getting older, and choose to live with it? The experts at Chesapeake Urology have treatments that can help virtually all men resume a normal sex life. Whether you're 48, 64, or 84, their doctors specialize in ED, and most treatments are covered by insurance. Even if you've tried pills without success, the specialists at Chesapeake Urology can show you better treatments. Don't live with something you don't have to. Call Chesapeake Urology at 877-422-8237. That's 877-422-8237.
Welcome back to SportsMaven, presented by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Now, once again, here's Bruce Posner, SportsMaven.
All right, back here on segment 2 of Coons Ford presents the SportsMaven. And, Danny, that championship game between Alabama and Georgia, it seems like it was a month ago, but it was really this week.
Yeah.
You know, it was better than any NFL game I've seen all year. Certainly better than any Ravens game.
Well, at least that second half was, because the first half was a little bit of a snooze fest.
A little bit, but that closing of the game and when the kid missed the field goal, I blame that on Saban. The kid was missing that. I mean, he was just barely making extra points, but he was hooking everything. So why would Saban have moved the ball to the center of the field from the right hash? I haven't figured that out yet. And he moved to the center of field, and I got to tell you something. It was as bad as Cundiff's kick, all right? About the same distance. They were tasting the championship. But the story of the game, to me, is one of the most incredible stories in a decade. And that was the bringing in of the freshman quarterback from Hawaii. Tua Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa.
Just call him Tua, Bruce.
Tua. And this is what got me. He made freshman mistakes. He never had a significant play. And Saban's got the guts to start him in the second half. Is this confidence in your program? Is this takes Saban to a new level, bringing in the second string quarterback who never played?
True freshman.
I mean, it's almost beyond belief. But the play that got me was after, at the end of the game, he almost ran the clock out. And then first play, instead of getting rid of the ball, he takes a 16-yard sack. It's 2nd and 26. And obviously, they got a field goal problem. So it's almost like if they don't get that first down, they might have to go for it on 4th rather than try a 35-yard field goal or something with the way the guy was kicking. But he calmly steps back. He looks off the safety to the right and then fits in a perfect 45-yard pass to his wide receiver, who they hit in stride, where all the guy had to do, you or me could have made the catch. The ball was thrown so well. Well, maybe you. I don't think I could have made the catch. But he hit the guy in stride for a touchdown, and I was thinking to myself, how many times this year did Joe hit a guy in stride?
Oh, my goodness.
How many times did he underthrow somebody?
Bruce.
This is a 19-year-old kid who never played in the national championship. I don't think he realized what stage he was on.
Yeah, he was probably a little bit awestruck by the situation that he was in. But
and what did I love about Alabama? Who was cheering for him the hardest? Jalen Hurts, the quarterback he replaced.
That was an amazing piece of sportsmanship.
It really was. And wait a minute. And the next day, who did he give all praise to? Tua. He gave it to Jalen Hurts for teaching him, for mentoring him, for bringing him along. It was just a great team story. That's the bottom line.
I mean, the entire game was a great team story. That you have the player.
And I hate Alabama, and I can't stand Nick Saban, but I got to give him credit to instill that kind of attitude in your team. Takes a special talent.
Well, there's that player on the sideline who was trying to get at the coach on Alabama's sideline. It looked like the entire Crimson Tide base was crumbling at one point. And I mean, when Tua took the sack, it looked like Nick Saban was about to quit right there on the spot. He threw his headset down. He was storming off the sideline. It really does, the whole game, point right to the fact that as much as they are heels and they are fun to root against, Nick Saban in Alabama is the best that we might have in sports right now in terms of like consistent greatness.
Well, Belichick in New England's pretty well up there. I have to be honest with you. But look, when you talk about the national championship, we're not talking about the 150 Division I teams or whatever the number is. We're talking about the national champions going to go to one of about 8 teams. I mean, it's pretty simple right now. Every year, we could pick the potential national champion right now for next year. It's pretty easy. We could certainly, if you gave me 10 teams, I'll name 10 teams, and one of them will be a national champion. Because when a team like UCF goes 14-0 and is ranked 12th, if you're not in the top 5, you have no prayer. Then you could look at the top 5 and eliminate probably 70% of the teams for having a chance. All right, maybe more. I mean, Maryland's not going to be a national champion. You know, even half of the Big Ten's got no prayer. But so be it. So Harbaugh seems to be standing pat. Some coaching changes, Greg Roman being elevated, Wink Martindale becoming the defensive coordinator. And I don't know anything about Wink Martindale, but when you got a chance of bringing a guy like Pagano, I really don't understand it.
It has to be Pagano's call. It has to be Pagano's call because he is still going to be being paid by the Indianapolis Colts. And the other thing is that John Harbaugh's in a really tough position right now to be able to bring anyone in because he has, first of all, he knows how a coaches work. You know, he comes from an entire coaching family. His brother-in-law is a coach. His brother's a coach. His dad's a coach. He knows that when you go through a number of assistant coaches over the course of a short amount of time, like he has on the offensive side, and with the defensive coordinator too. He's had a lot of coordinators in his time as the head coach of the Ravens. It's hard to bring in people, especially when you and your own job security looks like it's really on the hot seat going into this next year. And it's going to be very hard for him to lure any really reputable, good coaches with good pedigrees, with good potential, too, because you want to have them bring in these young visionaries, too. You would love for the Ravens to find a Sean McVay, and that's not going to happen when it looks like the Ravens are between a rock and a hard place when it comes to their cap, when it comes to their whole player development, and when it comes to their coaching, too, because if the Ravens struggle again next year, it could be a cleaning house situation.
No, it will be. Listen to this. I'll name you some names. John Stark, Wally Richardson, Chris Redmond, Wes Pate, Kyle Bowler, Josh Harris, Derek Anderson, Troy Smith, Joe Flacco, Tyrod, and Keith Wenning, whoever that is. That's their quarterback selections. They need a quarterback, whether it's Mason Rudolph. They need a quarterback this year, and Harbaugh said it's a fair question. You better believe it's a fair question. All right. However, somebody said to me, if they got to 16, and even though the guy won't be there, that number 3 from Georgia was available. What's it, Smith, I think his last name is. He was incredible. I don't know if I could pass him, even though the defensive thing is getting out of hand. But I don't know if I could pass him. All right, let's look at the games today. Enough on the Ravens, enough bashing the Ravens. 9-7, just not even worth talking about. I should talk about Le'Veon Bell. How could he bring up money now before the biggest game of the year? It tells me something's going on in Pittsburgh. And is Antonio Brown healthy? A lot of rumors to that. And can they win without Antonio Brown? We shall see. But I think this Jaguar. Let's look at today's games, first of all. Atlanta, all of a sudden, the hot team with Matty Ice starting to turn on at the Eagles. And all of a sudden, no respect for the Eagles, no respect for the fact they're playing at home. Atlanta's a 3-point favorite with Matty Ice. and Knowles playing quarterback for Eagles is like, a downer right now. I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles at home. I just do, and I know Matty Ice is good, but the Eagles look like they'll be underdogs the rest of the way, even though they have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs until you get to the Super Bowl. Titans, 13.5 versus New England. Titans have 2 chances to win that game. 0-0. They have no prayer. They're not in the league of that team. And once again, New England gets a cakewalk, a literal cakewalk to the championship game. And where they could be playing the Jaguars and the Steelers. And I think, would I lay 13.5 points to the Titans? I would never touch the game, but I would never bet on the Titans. I just would never bet on the Titans. I think that New England will have a field day scoring, which takes us to the Jags at the Steelers. Jags a 7-point favorite, underdog rather. I love the Jaguars in this game. I love them. Why? One simple reason: 30-9 in Pittsburgh early in the year. Now I'm talking about with 7 points. I'm not talking about the other aspects of it. Will Marcus Mariota fail again? He certainly didn't have a great game last week, to say the least. I don't think so, and I think the Jags can run the ball through Pittsburgh. What's his name? Who's their running back? Fournette. Fournette has had his successes against everybody this year. Certainly against. They beat the Ravens 44-7.
Yes, I remember that. That seems like a long time ago, but I do remember that.
44-7. I don't know what that means. The Saints at the Vikings. The Saints are +5. Wow, that's a lot of points to give Drew Brees. That's a lot of points. Is he going to march up and down the field against the Vikings? No, their defense is way too good. So in that particular case, even though the Vikings are playing great, I would take the Saints. Just because of the points. I think we're going to have some close games in the next couple of days. I think we're going to have some great games, unlike last week. I will label this Buffalo played the Jags, right? Was the worst football game I think I have ever seen for an NFL playoff game. It was the most boring. It was pathetic. And my brother called me in Florida and says, "You know what? It's halftime. I'm going to play golf. This is an absolute waste of time." Now we're sitting at home in 0-degree weather. You don't have much choice. What a disaster! What a horrible game! What a bad showing for the NFL. So last point before the break, segueing off of football. Right now, Danny, who's your Super Bowl winner? I will ask you that.
It has to be the New England Patriots right now, but I am rooting very hard for the Saints. I feel like the Saints. I want to see Breeze Brady very badly.
Well, I root any of the 6 teams besides for New England and Pittsburgh. I would love to see any of the 6 teams.
Let's get the Falcons back in.
The good thing about New England and Pittsburgh is they have to play each other. All right, or they probably will play each other. One will be eliminated. And I'd love to see the Falcons win after last year. I'd love to see the Vikings win. The Saints or the Eagles. I'd love to see the Eagles win. Love to see the Eagles win. Alonzo Ball continues to impress. What a game he had the other night. The Lakers are on a 3-game win streak. It doesn't sound like much.
Nobody likes playing for Luke Walton, though. So
yeah, according to LeVar. Let me tell you something, LeVar. First of all, I was disappointed how Lonzo Ball hemmed and hawed the question. He sure has supported his coach. Somebody's got to talk to him. The players love him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love a guy who gets you the ball when you're wide open and has no selfishness about scoring? Scoring is nothing to him. Yeah, if it's there, if his three's on, he'll take a few. But he's a great assist man, a great player, steals, rebounds, double-doubles coming out of his ears. He's just a great, great player. And when he learns how to shoot, when he changes that absurd style that he has, he could become even greater. So this is what the sage of basketball, Greg Popovich, had to say to Luke Walton. I had to pull this out of ESPN. Whenever anyone says anything about another individual, or about the quality of another individual or what they're doing, I think the first thing to look at is the substance and gravitas of the source that speaks. Speaking of LeVar Ball. Just stopping that at that point would tell you that you don't need to listen or go any further. It's just another fan in the peanut gallery with an opinion which is meaningless. Luke Walton has been schooled in this game from the time he was born. Luke Walton, I think, was 32-2 when he replaced Kerr with the Golden State Warriors. I mean, shut up, LeVar. Just be quiet about it. You're ruining Lonzo's situation. You can't speak. You can say whatever you want about Lonzo, but you can't speak for the other players. And a few of the players, Kuzma and Nance, they did speak up for Walton. And Lonzo, you're being paid by the Lakers. You got to get this. I know you're only 19 years old, but you got to get this under control. Because I just see bad things happening. The first time, they lose a game where they don't make the playoffs, Dan. You say they make a run and there's one game left, and Lonzo's on the bench in the fourth quarter. There's too much talent on that team to say if a guy's having a bad game to leave him in. There's a lot of talent on the Lakers. Just has to be used better. But Luke Walton, he's not concerned. The Buss family loves him. Everybody, really thinks highly. I'm the general manager. They're not worried about LeVar. And now I understand LeVar can't have press conferences anymore at the game. He was barred from having a post-game press conference. I don't know why they don't bar him from the arena. It only helped Lonzo. With that, we will head out to break number 2. This is Bruce Posner. You are listening to Coons Ford presents a SportsMaven this Saturday and every Saturday here on CBS Sports Radio, 1300. Cunningham's of the Bag Beast chain has been declared as one of the best restaurants in town. Located at One Olympic Place in Towson, Cunningham's has free valet parking and is open every night. The decor and atmosphere at Cunningham's makes you feel that you are part of a happening event. Using a wood-fired grill and oven, Cunningham's provides its guests with dishes created from the freshest seasonal and local ingredients possible. Call 410-339-7730 for a reservation. It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market Gourmet again to the Terp Talk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet Again on 3717 Old Court Road continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore knows that Gourmet Again is the best market around. Let Gourmet Again cater any party or special occasion that you are having. I absolutely love Gourmet Again. Call 410-484-9393. Gourmet Again is open 7 days a week. Visit them on the web at gourmetagain.com. The phone number, once again, 410-484-9393. That's Gourmet Again. Superior Tours continues to serve the Baltimore area with superior price trips to New York, Atlantic City, or wherever your group wants to go. The Comans brothers have only state-of-the-art motor coaches for your riding pleasure. Superior provides same-day service to New York for only $68 round trip or $48 for one-way trips. Atlantic City trips are $38 same-day round trips with great hotel rebates. Call 410-602-1704 and make a reservation with Superior Tours. Since 1915, Atman's Deli has been serving up the best delicatessen in Baltimore on 1019 East Lombard Street. Atman's is open 7 days a week with an incredible menu, including all your delights. Call Elaine for all your catering needs at 410-563-2666. Remember, Atman's is open every Ravens game in the stadium at Section 118. Nothing is better for me than a pastrami sandwich at Atman's Deli. Mayer and Steinberg are insurance brokers representing Hartford, Travelers, Liberty Mutual, and Zurich, among others specializing in restaurants, bars, law firms, accounting firms, and wholesalers. Workman's compensation is my good friend Paul Robinson's specialty, including contractors like heating, air conditioning, and landscape companies. Call them at 410-484-7000 and ask for Paul Robinson. Mayer & Steinberg is a 55-year-old insurance agency, family-owned and operated. They can also shop your current insurance coverages and in many instances save you premium. You can trust Mayer & Steinberg. My family and friends have done business with Paul and Mayer & Steinberg for years. There is no one better to represent you for your insurance needs. Call Mayer & Steinberg at 410-484-7000. Situated at 1 Olympic Place in Towson, Cunningham's Cafe and Bakery offers handcrafted breakfast, lunch, and coffee in a casual setting. Featuring house-baked breads and pastries, roasted coffees, and locally sourced eggs and produce from Cunningham Farms, the Cafe and Bakery is the perfect spot for a quick meal or snack. Parking is free across the street. Open 7 days a week. Call Cunningham's Bakery and Cafe, 410-339-7750. Parsonizing Fine Dry Cleaning, the best in Baltimore. Located at Crondall Corner Shopping Center, 410-356-9600, and Woodhome Square Shopping Center, 410-653-1881. They specialize in fine dry cleaning, expert shirt service, elegant hand cleaning, men's and ladies' alterations. They are the best, the Parson Brothers, 410-356-9600.
Our Jiffy Lube Friends and Neighbors Van, sponsored by GBMC, is appearing all around Baltimore. If you'd like us to visit your nonprofit event, visit 1057thefan.com and click on the Friends and Neighbors logo.
This is the SportsMaven Show, presented by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Now, here's the Maven himself, Bruce Posner.
All right, we're in segment 3. I'll put it off as long as I can today, but Lord knows we got to talk some Terrapin basketball, and got my buddy, frequent co-host on, Wayne Viener. Wayne, you were vicious today. Vicious.
Vicious? I think vicious might be a little overstated, but if you haven't seen it or read it yet, Bruce, tell them where they can find the article.
TerpTalk.com. Wayne gave his opinion on the state of the team right now, and he was not a homer, all right?
Not a homer
it's today. It's
By
hard.
the way, that one, just for the record, that has my byline on it.
I know you put your name on it. There's no doubt about it. You took that away you took the heat away from me on that one. All right.
So let's just see. I just got to say it clearly on air. That was my opinion. That is not a fact. It's my opinion. And every once in a while, when you write an opinion piece, you get some heat for it.
The thoughts and opinions of Wayne Viener does not necessarily represent those of Terp Talk.
Yes, in this one
Unfortunately,
case,
they do. That's the problem. All right. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, you're entitled.
Hey. Well taken. Look, my point is,
Wayne,
the team isn't where we want it right
Wayne,
now. Yes, sir.
I did not use my editorial right to strike it. All right.
Okay. Well,
and when you wrote it, you knew that was a possibility. All right.
Yes, I did. But like I said, just being clear, that's not our opinion, and though it's taken that way, it's my opinion.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Bruce, continue.
You made your point. You made your point well. Wayne, I tell you why. This is the way I look at it. All right. I know I talked to you after that game. I'm starting to think 4-14, 5-13. But the more I think about it, when we discussed it, you look at the remaining home schedule. And this is a different team at home, as depleted as it is. And why? Because Morsel and Fernando freshmen will always play better at home. It's just a fact. They will always play better at home. Nickens has a chance of playing better at home. And the loss of Deion Wiley the other day was brutal. I don't know if they're going to play him on Monday. In college basketball with concussions, they are much. You won't see a guy have some concussion, go to concussion protocol, and come back in the game like you do in college football. It's not going to happen. College basketball, because you don't have any equipment, you don't have any support, they're much more cautious. And so do I think Deion's going to be back Monday? I'm going to say yes, but I wouldn't bet the house on it. What do you think?
Well, I don't think he's going to be back that quick. It's a short turnaround. They don't play Saturday or Sunday. They play Monday. It's at 6:30 at Michigan. It's another road game. You've warned me about Michigan. You've seen them play several times. They're pretty good. The next home game is Thursday. So, sure, do I expect, and when we talk off the air, say where the wins come from, I say we're probably going to win our home games. It is a great place to play.
No doubt.
Comcast Xfinity Center. Hey, Maryland plays better at home with that crowd behind them. Now, one thing I was surprised about, going to Ohio State, nobody showed up for the most part, and fan-wise. Place was half full. It didn't have that big game atmosphere. I thought they'd be really charged up.
Yeah, that's why I was a little. First of all,
State.
I asked a question. I'll ask you. You watched Ohio State shoot the threes, right? Maybe Maryland was overplaying a little bit, and there were some wide open ones. But like this guy Dakic was challenged every time. He hits 3 threes in a row, and Bates Diop and his Diop. Bates Diop, what was he, 6 for 8 from the... What is it with everybody banging home threes against Maryland? You know,
I don't know, but it was impressive.
Listen, you can put guys wide open from the three-point shot line. They don't sit there and make them all the time. They'll make them half the time. We watch warm-ups all the time. Yeah, a guy might get in the rhythm and hit like 3 or 4 in a row, but not when he's been running for a half hour at full pace, and stops and pops. I don't understand the ease with which, and I got a new stat now. It seems the less turnovers we have, the worse we play. Now figure that one out.
We're playing with different people. That's a misleading stat. When we had Justin Jackson, Wiley, and things were rolling well, we played a much faster paced game, and that brings more turnovers. We have slowed it down. And you can go back and look at the Ohio State game and see a couple opportunities where maybe we could have pushed it and run out, and we slowed it down and ran a play. So there's no turnover there, but also the risk was lower. Look, for a while we are fresh, despite the fact that Michigan State had a near-record shooting day against us, and Ohio State was bringing guys off the bench for making threes in the last 2 minutes. And all of that happened, there were certain points in that game when we were fresh in the beginning where it all looks like it's going to work. Then we get behind, and from that point on, unlike every other team year that seems like Turgeon's had and back to the Gary days, you'd get behind by 15 points and you go, okay, at 10 minutes we're going to cut this to 9 points. And we do this sitting there watching the games. You go, okay, now we willed it down to 7. We're going to have a shot at the end.
It's not happening.
Get the ball. Not this year.
It's not happening.
So, no, the horses just aren't there. Why they're not there? Boy, that's an hour show unto itself probably. But right now the horses aren't there. And if you say Justin Jackson's Maryland's best player, then yeah, we've had a case of footballitis where our top player gets injured and there's no real backup for that. There's nobody else.
Well, there's no farm system in college. You can't reach down and pull somebody out. And it's funny, I've been watching the bench guys from Michigan State absolutely killed the Terps. And since that game, they haven't done anything. It's almost unbelievable. All right? Tum Tum hit 2 threes against Maryland. It was just, I just, not only are they running into the injury problem, but then you had the flu problem the other day, and you could tell, Bruno was not himself. I know it was on the road, and I don't expect much, but he only played 16 minutes, and there was a reason. He was really sick. And, you're going, Tamayak played okay, but, he's not a center. He's not a power forward. No. And Reese Mona played okay, better than Nickens. What's the story with Nickens? It's like he can't hit a shot.
And we're talking about somebody that we really like here. We really like.
No, we love the kid. He's a great kid, but he missed wide open shots time and time again. And without Wiley, this team just has no chance. And believe me, Wiley is hit and miss. And you're forced to play more. So I think Turgeon said it best. You're starting guys who should be coming off the bench, and you're playing guys from the bench who shouldn't be playing. And no offense to Reese Mona and Nickens and whatever, but they're not bringing anything. And Obi, they had a lineup in there for a while. They had Obi in there and Tamayak. I mean, just because they had to give, because Bruno was out and Checo was, Checo in foul trouble or whatever. Checo happened to have a good game the other night, which kind of went unnoticed. I think he had 18 points, a career high.
He ended up with 16 points.
16 points, sorry. So, going forward, I look at this, Wayne. I see Indiana at home. I mean, Indiana on the road may be a win. I see Wisconsin at home. Wisconsin has fell off the face of the earth. Minnesota's lost their two best players. Could be a win at home. Should be a win at home. Michigan State at home is going to be tough, but it won't be a 30-point blowout. I promise you that. Rutgers is looking better, but it's still a home game. You should have a shot to win. Michigan at home, you should have a darn good shot to win, even with this lineup. But when you hit the road, it's going to be really, really tough, even at the Penn States and Rutgers and Nebraskas of the world.
That is all true. Well, I know that we're up against it here, so thanks for having me on. And once again, take a look at TerpTalk.com for all our coverage and all our news, even on some days when it's not positive. And look, we'll win our share of games, Bruce.
Yeah, let's keep the faith. All right, Wayne, thanks a lot for coming on. It's Bruce Posner. We're out of time. We went over. Danny's ready to beat me up with a hatchet, I think. But we'll be back next Wednesday for Coons Ford Terp Talk. And, of course, every Saturday, Coons Ford presents the Sports Maven. And we thank Coons Ford, as always, for being our tremendous sponsor. Thank you, everybody. We will see you on Wednesday.